My name is Suresh Kuchatal. Corruption is a part of our life every day, isn't it? We fight, we pay, and then we get our work done. Like death and taxes, corruption is a part of our everyday life from birth to death. Now comes the news that different local bodies in Delhi, like the Delhi Jal Board and the municipal corporations, the Indian Railways and banks received the maximum number of corruption complaints against their employees last year, according to a Central Vigilance Commission report. Of the total 81,494 such complaints received by the Chief Vigilance Officer of the government organizations concerned in respect of all categories of officers and employees. In 2019, the highest 16,295 were against local bodies, except governments of National Capital Territory of Delhi, followed by 11,797 against Indian Railways and 8,877 against the banks. The Central Vigilance Officers act as an arm of the CBC to check corruption in government organizations. The local bodies, including Delhi State Industrial and Infrastructure Development Corporation Limited, Delhi Jal Board, Delhi Tourism and Transportation Development Corporation, Delhi Transport Corporation, Delhi Transco Limited, Delhi Urban Shelter Improvement Board, Indraprastha Power Generation Company Limited, North, East and South Municipal Corporation of Delhi, and the New Delhi Municipal Council, said the CVC report. Of these 16,291 complaints against local bodies, 14,290 were disposed of and 2,001 were still pending, it said, adding that 1,748 of those claims were pending for more than 3 months' time. The GNCTD received 5,550 corruption complaints last year. Of these, 4,920 were disposed and 630 were pending, including 87 cases for more than 3 months. According to the Central Vigilance Commission's annual report for 2019, which was tabled in Parliament during the recently concluded session and uploaded on the Commission website on Sunday, of the total 11,797 complaints received by Railways, 10,502 were disposed of, 1,295 were kept pending, of which 284 aged more than 3 months. As many as 8,877 complaints were received by banks, of which 7,721 were disposed of, and 1,156 were kept pending, and 606 of them aged more than 3 months. There were 4,223 complaints received against staff under the Housing and Urban Affairs category, including Central Public Works Department, or what is called popularly known as CPWD, the Delhi Development Authority, Delhi Metro Rail Corporation, Delhi Urban Art Commission, Hindustan Prefab Limited, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, NBCC, NCR Planning Board, according to the CBC. Of these, 2,714 were disposed of, 1,509 cases were still pending, 1,082 of them for more than 3 months. There were 4,214 complaints against employees under the Coal Ministry, of which 3,828 were disposed of, 2,750 against those under the Petroleum Ministry, of which 2,236 were disposed of, 2,518 of those under the Central Board of Direct Taxes, or CBDT, of which 1,211 were disposed of. 2,447 cases were against those in defense, of which 2,003 were disposed of. 2,378 against those in the telecommunication, of which 2,110 were disposed, and 2,127 against employees under the Ministry of Home Affairs, of which 1,189 were disposed of. The report of the CVOs also has been taken on record. The Chief Vigilance Officers of the ministries, departments, organizations are required to submit quarterly performance reports of the vigilance activities of the Commission. Besides the complaints received by CVO, the CVC also got on its own 32,579 complaints during 2019, up from 29,979 in 2018. In the year 2019, 35,649 complaints were received, including 3,070 complaints brought forward from 2018, out of which 34,813 complaints were disposed of and 836 complaints remained pending at the end of 2018. Out of these complaints, 6,975 complaints were anonymous, pseudonymous, which were filed in accordance with the Commission's complaint handling policy. In many complaints, the allegations were found to be either vague or unverifiable, it said. The CVC received a large number of complaints against public sector servants working in state organizations and other organizations who do not come under the jurisdiction of the Commission or which are of administrative nature, the report said. The CVC received 23,609 complaints in 2017, 49,847 in 2016, and 29,838 in 2015, it said. After the scrutiny of the complaints received, the Commission calls for an inquiry or an investigation reports from the appropriate agencies only in those complaints which contain serious and verifiable allegations and there is a clear vigilance angle. As per the laid down procedure in the inquiry, investigation reports are required to be sent to the Commission within a period of 3 months. However, it's observed that in the majority of the cases, there is a considerable delay in finalizing and submission of reports to the Commission. Inordinate delays in the submission of inquiry and investigation reports to the Commission are a matter of serious concern. In such a situation, the Commission may summon the CEOs or CVOs of the concern personally with the records and documents.